Here with my production used Crow T robot. I got this at auction, and this is basically how it arrived. I would like to protect it for those times when it's not on display, for those times when I might need to move it or store it, and I want to make sure that it doesn't get damaged. It is already damaged up here on the top of the head. There's a little bit of production wear. There's a little hole on the top of the head for this particular prop. And so to keep this thing in its current shape, I'm going to make a crate that will be custom for this specific puppet and will allow all of these areas to be protected. So today, custom crate to protect your prop. So to make the crate, I'm just going to use a couple of things here. I'm going to use a 1/4-inch piece of plywood. I am going to use some 1x3 poplar for strength. I'm going to use a piano hinge for the lid, a couple of handles and latches to connect that all together. I'm also going to line the inside with this type of foam, and I will be carving this foam to match the puppet perfectly so that it is completely cradled and protected with inside the crate. And I'll show how all of that goes together. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to build each panel of the crate. I'm going to do the sides of the crate and the ends of the crate first, then the bottom, and then the top. So here's one side, finished, done, and there is a 1/4-inch gap on the bottom for that bottom board to slip into that. So it'll sit like this. So I'm going to make one more just like that. Now there are two. Okay, for the next part, so we have the two ends, or the two sides. We're going to do the two ends here. And in order to make sure that the box is square, what I'm going to do is, instead of building the end first and then nailing it to the ends of the sides here, I'm actually going to use the uprights, and I'm going to nail them into place first on all four corners. So now I have, so this is going to be the top surface. That's going to be the bottom where the piece is going to be recessed. I'm going to do the other one now. In downloading my footage last night, I found out that I lost something. So I lost how I attached these ends. Basically, I centered this piece of wood here onto the plywood, and this was already attached. This was already attached to the sides, and then all I did was bring this guy to this position with the paneling, and then just stapled him into this. So, and then attach that piece of wood last. So that's all I did. So it was very, very simple. I did it for both sides. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and build the lid, or the door, the top hatch.
Instead of labeling my crates, I create a 3D printed mask of a silhouette of the object inside it. In this case, there are lots of nice silhouettes of Crow online. For the inside of the crate, I am using gray foam from Foam Mart, which is a local provider. This foam is very easy to work with. There are lots of fancy ways to cut foam, and I have found that the electric carving knife works the best. The first step is to cut a sheet of foam that is going to fit down into the bottom of the crate. Then I lay my prop, puppet, or whatever it is I'm trying to protect onto the foam. This way, I can see if something needs to be cut away or if something needs to be adjusted. I also mark this foam with a Sharpie to start to plan out exactly where to place blocks of foam to support the prop, or in this case, the puppet. For this particular case, I am lining the sides of the case with foam. I'm not gluing anything in yet. It is all just laid in there so that I can take things out, cut them, and put them back. This makes my life a lot easier if I can set the pieces of foam in and leave it there until I get all of the foam pieces cut. It also allows you to play around with how the foam cradles the puppet. Make sure that every part of the prop or puppet is supported, from right to left, top to bottom, all the way around the puppet or prop, whatever it is you're trying to protect. Also, I am using a couple of foam pieces as inserts that are trapped between the puppet and the lid. This will securely hold the puppet in place and keep it suspended between the foam pieces. Right here, I am putting a couple of foam pads on the lid in case the puppet gets jostled. This will keep the puppet from smacking the lid when it's inside the case. I mark the inserts where they go. So in this case, I mark the insert as the neck because I know that it's going to go on the neck. Adding cables to keep the lid from swinging all the way open. I will take the puppet and put it in and out, take it in and out a couple times during this process to make sure that everything is fitting properly and to make sure everything is where I need it to be. Once everything is figured out, I then glue all the foam in. If you have a heavier prop, then you will need thicker foam or more foam to cradle it. Crow is very light and the foam I'm using is more than sufficient to support it. That is it. Your prop is properly stored, properly protected, ready to move, ready to ship, ready to go into deep storage or whatever the case might be. Lastly, adding an envelope for the certificate of authenticity. I just glued it right to the lid. That way I can slip in any paperwork, pictures, instructions, or anything that helps the provenance of the prop or might be needed for whatever the prop might be. Thank you again for watching. If you made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate the support, and we will see you in the next one.